Breaking the norms. Thank you, Bhavna, for sharing such a wonderful personal story. It's very easy to keep doing what you've always done. It's very easy to keep following the status quo. I'm sure most of us can relate to that from our own work experiences. Change is hard. We've heard about it today. Yet it's in those moments where you actually decide to challenge the status quo and decide to challenge the existing conditions that exist that immeasurable impact often happens. The world is better today because of people like Bhavna's grandmother. And we should take inspiration from such people and inspiration from their stories and figure out how we can apply those learnings to our daily lives and to our lives at work. Our keynote speaker today is one such individual and is a personal hero of mine. His work over the past 4 decades has transformed the world, and his belief in the entrepreneurial spirit of all people, regardless of how rich or poor, regardless of how well educated or completely illiterate, helped launch a movement that has lifted over 50 million people out of poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great privilege and honor to introduce the founder of Grameen Bank and the recipient of the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize, Professor Yunus.
Good afternoon. Hello. I'm delighted to be here to get a few minutes with you to highlight some of the things that I have been doing and the excitement that it's generated and the frustrations that it causes. I thought I'll focus on the frustration part first. Not only frustration, it's a nightmare. And that nightmare kind of drives me crazy all the time. And see whether this is a legitimate nightmare or something I cooked up. The first nightmare that drives me crazy is a sustained concentration of wealth. And you have been hearing about it, I'm sure Oxfam report goes to you, showing each year how the more and more wealth gets concentrated in the hands of fewer and fewer people. Today, we are in a situation where 99% of the wealth of the world is in the hands of 1% of the population of the world. 99% to 1%. Which means 99% of the world's population has to do with 1% of the wealth of the world. That's where we all are, 1%. If we are all part of that 1%, imagine the people who are in a very low income situation, what fraction of that person get to there. So this is something kind of a static picture you get, but it's a continuous process. It's getting worse every day. That's the nightmare part of it. It was changing, it was turning around. You can still hope that something will come out, but it's not. Tomorrow, you'll hear more than 99% of the wealth of the world is in the hands of less than 1% of the population of the world. And who does it? Why does it happen? Are those 1% people, bloodthirsty people, sucking up everybody's blood? They are not. They're nice people, good people. We listen to their speeches. We take selfies with them. Recently, there was another information that 26 people in the world own more wealth, just 26 people, more wealth than the bottom 50% of the population of the world. And I bet you, we all know all the 26 people. We have met many of them. They are very good people. Then what happened? Why held all the world go to them? That's the issue that drives me. What is happening that makes it happen that way? One way I blame existing system that we practice, the businesses that we run, economics that we learn and teach to others, and the institutions that we built. They all work together to make that machine work that way. So unless we redesign the machine, there's no way you can change that. Very simple formula. If you go by the same road all the time, you always end up at the same destination. We cannot change the destination unless we change the road. If you want to go to a new destination, we have to build new roads. There is no other option. So today we are always pushing to the same road, same story, same thing, with more energy, more aggressiveness, and so on, so that it gets worse. We have no escape from that. Second one, the nightmare, is the environment. The first one, not only it concentrates wealth, and I see that the nightmare part of it is a ticking time bomb. It can explode any time, bringing chaos in everything. You see signs of this in our politics, what is the popularism and all that, pleasing the people at the bottom, no matter what it takes, so that I can get to the power. And it will continue to get worse. Policies will not be designed to improve things, but to please people so that you can get votes. You don't want to take harsh decisions. And the second thing is the environment. We are told again and again there's not much time left, but we don't really care for it. Our everyday life goes on as if we are here for eternity. We are not. My conclusion, the nightmare conclusion, human beings will not last long on this planet. It hardly can go through the half of this present century, 2050. Probably beyond that, human beings will be extinct. So that's the kind of urgency part of it. We are told again and again that if you cannot bring down to the global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius in the next 15 years, or maybe 20 years, we are in real danger of making this planet unlivable. If you push your luck a little bit, you can still go through 2 degrees Celsius by 2050. But that's the point of no return. You cannot change it, no matter what you try. So our life on this planet is defined by that. And we don't seem to be very worried about that. So that's a nightmare. My life will be over, your life probably will be over, but what about the children? I don't think our children or your children will have their full life. Grandchildren, we are not sure at all. So that's the urgency part is totally missing in whatever discussion we have and whatever decisions we make and so on. Third one is something familiar to all of us, artificial intelligence. We celebrate artificial intelligence. We feel happy that, wow, now something is happening. The world will be in the hands of the artificial intelligence. Human beings will relax, enjoy, and artificial intelligence will get everything done. And the process has already started. I don't have to narrate all the details. McKinsey report says in the next 15 years, at least 500 million people will be out of the present jobs because it will be taken over by artificial intelligence. So 15 years, excuse me, it's not a long period. And then what? What happens to that 500 million people when they are out of job? Who's going to feed them? Sometimes it is recommended there should be universal basic income. Government should feed them. And I've always felt very uncomfortable with that. I said, after all this glory of human civilization, we don't want to end our stay on this planet by turning into beggars. And that's not the path we want to take. Artificial intelligence, like any technology, every technology, can be a blessing, can be a curse. Today, we are moving more on the curse direction than on the direction that we feel comfortable. It's a blessing direction. On top of it, not only the unemployment situation will be created, on top of it, we are told that artificial intelligence, by their machine learning and all the algorithms, that they self-teach themselves. Don't need any people to handle that. Soon, by their own learning process, they will become more intelligent than human beings. And if you continue in this path, it will continue because we don't have any hand in that. This is a self-propelled system. Artificial intelligence will become several times intelligent than human being. So my simple question is, what happens if artificial intelligence becomes, say, 10 times more intelligent than human being? What will be the relationship between the human being and the artificial intelligence? Obvious response that I get from myself will be, they will look at us like some kind of cockroaches on this planet. It's stupid things run around, consume, waste. They don't consume. That's a good thing about artificial intelligence. They don't have to grow anything to keep them alive. But human beings do. If they feel that this is the difference between them and the human being, my guess is they will call the pest control department, clean up this mess. Who needs it? So this is the direction we have to be very aware right now, because this is a way, it becomes a bigger and bigger and larger, and we are standing tall that, yes, we have artificial intelligence doing everything for us. Wait, you'll be out of whatever you're doing. It's not just a manual work, it's intellectual work. We're always thinking maybe low-level employees will be replaced now. The CEOs will be replaced because they'll be better CEOs than our present CEOs and everybody else. They're better professors than we are, or better politicians than we are, or whatever, because they have no limit. And in these circumstances, how long human being can survive on this planet? Not much. The time is given. Recently, I have written a book addressing these issues. I can't explain details here. It's called A World of Three Zeros. It was published last year. I tried to address all this, by saying that despite everything else, each human being is packed with unlimited creative capacity. Unfortunately, our system doesn't allow us to use that capacity because we are told you have to take a job. Job is the ultimate for a human being. I said, that's an absolutely wrong direction. Human beings by nature are entrepreneurs. We have misdirected by our theories, our work, and so on. That's where the creative power comes in. Job doesn't need creative power. It's run by direction, instructions. You go through the small slot. Real thing comes through the entrepreneurship. You use your total capacity, or as much of the capacity that you can use in your lifetime. You have unlimited. If we move in that way, probably we can address these 3 zeros to happen. What are the 3 zeros? 0 poverty, 0 unemployment, 0 net carbon emission. And I've given all the examples how this can be done. One of the critical factors there is called social business. I said, theory made us believe that we are all human beings driven by selfish interest. That's the definition of a human being in economic theory. They are driven by self-interest. I said, that's a wrong interpretation. Human beings are much bigger than just being a selfish entity. Human beings are selfish as well as selfless. That part is completely taken away from economic theory. The moment you introduce that part, then we need two kinds of business. Business to satisfy your selfish interest so that you make money. And then you have to create business on the basis of selflessness, to create the business to change the world without any intention of making money. That's what we call social business. And that's what we are dedicating ourselves, many of the big companies working with us, and so on and so forth. So I'll stop here and invite Babak to come in to see if we can have a discussion on all these issues. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you for those insights. Professor, I want to ask my first question. I want to take you back to when you were in the United States and you were at Vanderbilt getting a PhD. And I want to ask you about one of the things that you've written in your book, A Banker for the Poor, which was a lesson you learned from your PhD advisor. And it was, I quote, that things are never as complicated as they seem. It is only our arrogance that prompts us to find unnecessarily complicated answers to simple problems. And I think a lot of us can agree on that in business. So you've spoken about some problems and some potential solutions. What advice would you give to people on how to get to the simple answers when everyone seems to want to make things very complicated?
Well, I would say come to the simplest possible level, because most of the time we kind of frame our problem in a massive way. Say poverty, it's a big, so many billions of people are poor people, so on and so forth. And if you do that, you don't feel any incentive to get involved with it because I'm too small relative to so many billions of whatever you got. So many billions are unemployed, so many things are people don't have health care, whatever. So I said the best thing to do, well, you know about it, but bring it down to individual person. It's so much easier to deal with individual person because then I see I have the capacity to do something about it. If I see an unemployed person, then I can do something to create any circumstances where this unemployed person can be taken out of unemployment. Anybody can do that, just one person. We can all take one poor person out of poverty. That capacity we have. But we don't do that because we are worrying about the billions. And that's kind of hiding from the problem. If you're really interested, you bring it down. If you want to take one person out of welfare, it can be done. If I do one person, you do one other person, there'll be 2% will be out of welfare. But we don't do that. We leave it to the government. As long as we make it a kind of aggregation of that time, we'll leave everything in the hands of the government, let government do it. Poor government has no capacity to address such thing. They will keep promising, but hardly delivering. That's what the problem is.
Breaking it down into
break it down and get involved because you have the capacity.
Yeah.
Not only just break it down for intellectual purposes. When you break it down, you see you have the capacity to do it, then do it.
Right.
Why are you shying it away?
Yeah, yeah. When you were first starting Grameen Bank, at the time, obviously poor people did not have access to credit. And of the people that had access to credit, less than 1% of the borrowers in Bangladesh were women. So when you started the initiative, not only did you want to give poor people access to credit, you also had a goal at the time of saying at least 50% of my borrowers will be women. And at present, 97% of the borrowers of Grameen Bank are women. Why was diversity such an important attribute in your model for Grameen Bank, and what benefit do you think businesses can gain by ensuring diversity in our workplaces?
Well, first of all, I didn't come to the word diversity or something. We had no obligation for diversity. I was just looking at things the way it was. I got into battle with the banking system because I said banking can be done with the poor people, and I was doing it myself. They said, oh, it is impossible, it cannot be done, poor are not creditworthy. And I was saying, well, should you say the poor people are not creditworthy, or poor people should say you're not people-worthy, because you can't deal with them. So you have to figure out how to do it. Then I accused them, not only they don't lend money to the poor people, they also don't lend money to any women, not just poor women, any women. They were totally going nuts on that one. So they protested. I said, oh, you can protest as much as you want. Here is your statistics. In the whole of Bangladesh, you take the statistics and the gender composition, not even 1% of all the borrowers of Bangladesh in all banks happen to be women. So I said, you have to explain. Only explanation they could give, oh, they don't come to us. I said, they do. These are your rules. If a woman comes to your bank, she's a rich woman, she has a beautiful project, she would like to get it funded, you flip through your project and you say, have you discussed it with your husband? And we say, yeah, of course I have discussed it with my husband. Does he support it? Yes, of course he supports it. Why don't you bring him along next Monday so that we can discuss it? I said, that's where your problem is. Have you ever asked any men submitting their project proposal, have you discussed it with your wife? Why didn't you bring your wife along so that we can discuss? I said, that's the problem that you have. So when I began, I wanted to make sure half the borrowers in my program are women. This is just a decision without looking at what is reality or anything. And we got into trouble because women said, no, no, don't give the money to me, give it to my husband. I said, here I am trying to give money to you. And my students, I'm working with my students. My student says, if you enter the village from this direction, the women in the village say, hey, they are coming, they are going to give you money, let's go, let's run. They want to run the other end of this village. They are so scared of taking money. So we have to overcome that in a very long, patient way to build confidence in them that yes, they can handle money. I said, if one woman finally agrees to take the money and she's successful, that will create a snowball effect. Her neighbor will become jealous and say, how did she do it? I'll do it. And she will do it, and others do it. And that's what happened. It took us 6 years to come to that 50-50 level, but we never faltered on that because everything slowed down because the women are not coming. And we will not do it without the women. But finally, we hit that and became successful in it. We're so happy that it happened. Then we started noticing money going to the family through women brought so much more benefit to the family than the same amount of money going to the family through men. Because we have men, we have women. And we can see the result right away. You don't have to be an investigator, you don't have to be a researcher to see it. Children's situation is totally different between a borrower who is a woman, a borrower who is a man. Family situation, overall situation is so different. So we started asking ourselves, why do we have to stop at 50-50? If the same money can do so much magic in the family, why don't you take that magic, go through the women? We said, forget about 50-50, let's focus on women. And we started focusing on women. Today we have 9 million borrowers of Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. And 97% are women, not because the 3% is competing with that. We wanted to keep some men, that's all. Otherwise, we could have done it for all women, and it could be better. We became smarter when we came to the United States to create Grameen America. That's a long story, but we started it. We said here it will be 100% women. Today, 10 years later, in the United States, we work in 15 cities. We have 25 branches. We have about 125,000 borrowers, 100% women. Startup loan is under $1,000. We have given on an average of $1 billion a year to all these women with perfect repayment record. Over 99% all the time, every single branch. New York has 7 branches. We have absolutely perfect. And Los Angeles has 3 branches, perfect record. And wherever else, Omaha, Nebraska, Charlotte, North Carolina, Boston, Miami, and so Perfect record. So this is the strength of the women that bring to change themselves.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Yunus. Professor Yunus, I want to talk about business models, right? Every organization, every business faces a problem. At some point, they have to figure out how they're going to scale their business. You had this problem as well. I mean, in general, it's easy to get 100 customers. It's tougher to manage 1,000 customers. I think all of us in this audience can relate to that. You had this problem, and people said, well, you know, when you first launched in the village of Jobra, you're like, well, you have, you know, 500 borrowers in Jobra, and you're making it successful, but this isn't something that will scale. And you were going to take this challenge on when you moved to the district of Tangail, right? And then from 1979 to 1982, the number of borrowers in those 3 years went from 500 to 28,000. And you write about this, and you said your secret to scaling was that you wanted to hire people with no banking experience and young people. So can you talk about that and help explain to the audience how you were able to utilize the skills of these individuals to help solve the problem of scalability?
Yeah. You mentioned about young people having no banking experience. That's what I was trying to explain, that if you go by the same road, you end up at the same destination. If you hire people who have the banking experience, they will follow the same old road and push us to the same destination. And as we know, as you sow, so you reap. So sowing is very important, what you're sowing. So if in our advertisement in the newspaper, when you recruit people for Grameen Bank, we have been recruiting in the initial period a massive number of young people. So we had the big advertisement in the newspaper, come and join us here. There. And one condition, eligibility condition is, if you have any experience of working in any bank, you need not apply. And people got the message. So they had to plead, no, I have nothing to do with banking. So I said, yeah, good, go ahead. So this is one. Another one is important. When you say scalability, for us it's a very simple thing. We apply it in every single business that we run. All we have to do, develop a prototype. Once we know how to build that prototype, a unit of a business, like a branch of a bank, and it is sustainable, it covers its cost, and its repayment record is near 100%, and people are happy with the money. So we know how to do it. All we have to do is repeat it. We take young people to be trained in this branch, go and open your branch, go, you have to open your branch, same thing, do the same thing. And that's what we did. So building that first branch is the most difficult thing. If you have done that, you have conquered the world. It's all question of repeating. We did it in New York City, in Jackson Heights, the first branch, in 2008. We had no idea. People are saying, oh, this is America, you can't do it, you can't bring Bangladeshi experience here. I said, the Bangladeshi experience is a very valued experience, it's dealing with the poor people. If you have poor people, it will work. They said, well, our poor people are different. I said, poor people everywhere is the same, no matter where they live. And our projection came out right. They are the same. They are the same. Even the language they use, no matter what language you are speaking, mostly speaking in Spanish, because these are all the slum dwellers in New York City. Mexican, Latinos, they are the one. And with the 125,000 borrowers we have today, 60% of them are Mexicans, all fresh immigrants. And most of our borrowers are undocumented. Not only we don't require any collateral, so there is no papers, no collateral, no recommendation. They don't even have a paper to justify that they are people who belong to the United States. They're known as undocumented people. When Trump came, everybody was shivering because there were now wholesale deportation of all these people. But we didn't stay away. We give them $1 billion a year without any papers or anything, and they come back. So this is what the important thing is. Once you create that first branch, we replicated Bangladesh experience in 100%. We have not compromised anything. We told our branch manager, the manager who came from Bangladesh to set up a branch in New York, I said, people will come, you give you a lot of advice. Oh, this is America, you have to do it this way. Don't listen to anybody. You do it exactly the way you do it in Bangladesh. Never compromise with anything. He took it literally. He did exactly what he does. And now all over the United States, we do the same thing. We just replicate what we do in Bangladesh. Some of the things look very funny in the UN situation, but we have not kind of shied away from that. We do it exactly the way we do it. So this is the replication, the scalability. Not only Grameen, when we do the social business or microcredit, we do the healthcare, we do the solar energy, same thing. We have done the solar energy home system all over Bangladesh. We have more than 4 million households with solar energy as a social business. All we have to do is to first practice it, the first few, 10, 12 houses, how it works. And it's a social business. It covers its cost. We are not interested in making money for ourselves. It's just plowed back the money and do it. So we do it exactly the same way, same experience that we had in Grameen Bank.
Oh, thank you. You spoke about social businesses, and that social businesses are the avenue by which we can get out of these nightmare scenarios that potentially are posed on the world. And I want to ask you, you give 2 examples. One was with the French company Danone that helped create a yogurt for the poor children, malnourished children of Bangladesh, and they did it for no profit at all. And you speak of...
No. They don't take profit. They make profit. Company makes profit. But owners don't take profit.
They reinvest the money.
It's a plowed back, yeah.
Right. And I think there was another example of Adidas, the German company, which was going to try to make a shoe for €1 for the individuals in Bangladesh. Are you seeing a change? Are you seeing organizations step up to this challenge more and more over in the past 10, 15 years? Is this something that we can keep repeating over and over to solve the problems of the world? Are organizations going to take on this challenge?
I gave you the reason why people move in this direction, the business people, so on. Because they see the end of the world. So if you keep on doing the same business, you are expediting that process, as simple as that. So you have to, for example, plastic. Everybody knows plastic is going to kill us. But we produce plastic merrily. What happened? Today, rivers are clogged with plastic. The fish is dying with plastic. Birds are dying with plastic. And the plastic is moving into our food chain because of the microfibers are coming into water, into food, and everything. So we kill ourselves. But we don't stop our business. So we talked to the plastic people. Some of the plastic producers came to meet us in Bangladesh. What do we do? I said, the best thing is to close down the shop. I mean, you have no reason why you should do that. You should run this business. But if you want to do it slowly, but you have to have a time limit by when you have to do that. And what are the things you should do by down? So out of that discussion with the producers of plastic, now Plastic Action Group has emerged. All the producers, not us. Producers combine themselves to make sure they either make it sustainable plastic, recyclable plastic, or move into something else replacing plastic, because plastic is going to kill us. And they have no reason why they should do it. Why should they kill their children? Because it's not somebody in Bangladesh will be dying. They'll be dying in their own city. So this is one. Out of this discussion with the big companies, Danone and all that, France was the first one to create something called Social Business Action Tank. All the big companies, about 12 of them in French large businesses, multinational businesses, like Renault, Nissan, Sodexo, Danone, Veolia, they all combined themselves to form this action tank, took each one to create a social business for France. And they're doing that right now. And now they're expanding it to outside of France. So this is an initiative not from us, from the business community themselves. Seeing their example, the initiative came to Brazil. Brazil created Social Business Action Tank. All the Brazilian big, not all, some of them, 4 of them combined themselves. Now Japan. Japan is creating a Social Business Action Tank, and we will be launching it this November. And the companies joined hands to change things the way they do it, because the same formula comes. If you do the same thing, you repeat the same thing, it will make it worse. So you have to find a different thing. You cannot just go on doing the same thing over and over again. So these are the things. One last example I would give, very fascinating for me, McCain. Some of you may are familiar with McCain. McCain is a Canadian company, family-owned company.
The food company, McCain.
McCain is, I asked them, I said, what does the McCain do? Because they came to meet me and to see whether they can get involved with social business. I said, but you tell me, what do you do? They were very embarrassed because I don't know anything about them. They are one of the leading companies in the world. They said, do you eat French fry? I said, yes, I eat French fry. Do you like them? I said, I like them. Next time you eat French fry, you remember, wherever in the world, if you eat French fry, remember, it must be McCain French fry. Because we control 60% of the French fry business in the whole world. You go to McDonald's, you go to any other shop, French fry is a McCain French fry. They just simplify and give it to you. So they came, they are very interested to social business, and it's a long story, I'll cut short. They started a social business in France to address the problem of potato, because they are the big potato buyers in all of Europe. They buy them and chop them up in French fries, chips, and so on and so on. They throw away, discard a large portion of the production made by the farmers, because the size of the potato is not good enough for maximum number of French fries, see? So they see which one will produce maximum number. They will buy it. If it is not, they will not buy it. So farmers throw it away because they have no use. They can't eat all those potatoes. Now, once they got into the social business with our joint experience with us, they came up with a company to buy back all the throwaway potato. What do? So we stupid us, we never thought about that because we had never the social business idea that we have to do something for the people. We just buy all the throwaway potato and make potato soup. Soup doesn't need a shape. It's a shapeless thing. So they became a big producer of potato soup. Then they extended it to the vegetables. 30% of all the vegetables grown in Europe are thrown away. It's known in the business, it's known as ugly vegetable because consumers don't want to buy them. If a cucumber in your grocery shop or your supermarket is fat on one end, thin on another end, nobody will buy it. If a banana is not this classical shape, it will be a little twisted, nobody will touch it. So the shape is very important for vegetables, like any human being too, probably. So this is the 30% of the total production of Europe. Dirty vegetable, ugly vegetable. It's known in a technical term as ugly vegetables. Nobody buys ugly vegetables. It's thrown away. So McCain, new social business, is buying up all the ugly vegetables, turning into vegetable soup. The first, before the soup, what they did, they bought those vegetables, chopped them up, and made into beautiful packages, called them ready-to-cook vegetable. When you chop it off, you don't know whether a thin end or a big fat end, whether something. So shape disappears. The moment shape disappears, it's a good vegetable. People buy it. It's cheap because it's something which people are throwing away. You buy it and make it. Now they're adding vegetable soup too. So this is the way it works. Suddenly social business idea transforms its own business because they see it a completely different way. So this is how it extends from one part.
And you're seeing this more and more.
More and more
With companies trying to drive change and action.
Absolutely.
Professor Yunus, one final question. In the audience, we have about 800 procurement professionals. They, for their respective companies, represent about $200 billion of expenditure that they manage and oversee. What is your call to action for all of us? What is your advice for all of us to make sure that we can have a lasting impact on society?
I touched a little bit, saying that all of us has the capacity to do something. When it comes to 1%, 2%, I can do that. And basic thing I said, each human being is packed with unlimited creative capacity. In our lifetime, we hardly use a little bit of it. In our education system, we never allowed to explore our creative capacity that we have. So it remains unknown. So with that creative capacity, you can address the problem. If you address the problem, any problem can be solved. One thing, kind of a headline that we have to remember in mind, nothing is impossible for human being. all impossibles in the world has become possible after possible. Whatever impossibles left is for us to change it, because that's what the human being has done throughout its history. Impossibles turn into possibles. And we can do that. We don't have to leave all the problems to be solved by the government. This is the tradition that we have developed our system. Individual human being is more powerful than government. So my advice is, use your power, change it. You can change the whole world, but you can change your neighborhood, you can change one person. If you change one person, you can change 1 million. It's simply a question of repetition, that's all. So the idea of creating that business in a sustainable way, charity is a good idea, but the problem with charity is charity money goes out, does an excellent job, but the money doesn't come back. So you have only one time use your money. If you transform it into a social business, same objective, but done in a business way, not to make money for yourself, but to do it in a sustainable way. The moment you do it in a social business way, then social business money goes out, does the job, money comes back. So you have unlimited use of the same money. It becomes very powerful money. So that you can do. Each individual, whether 800 here or 8 billion in the world, we can all come up with an idea. Idea is the most valuable thing, not the actual work. Actual work is important, but it starts with idea. Idea of how to take, as I was giving example, one poor person out of poverty. You can come out with a beautiful idea. And if the idea is there, somebody says, okay, I'll do it. It's a social business because money rolls. I don't have to make it a dependent thing. Every year I have to donate money. I don't have to donate money. One-time investment, it does that. You do it once, you do it twice, and so on. So think about such an idea, what can be done. You look at the problems you see around yourself, come up with an idea how to do it in a business way, social business way, so that the whole focus of the business is solving problem. This is number one. Number two, discuss with your children what they want to be. Tell them all the nightmare that I had. Will the world survive? Tell what you feel. Discuss with them, because they are the one who will be the victims. Greta Thunberg, she's now crossing the Atlantic with a boat. She's still have not reached New York. She's a 16-year-old girl, shaking up the whole world. Just saying whatever you're saying, your research is saying, your science is saying, why aren't you doing it? That's a simple question. So you talk to your children, because this is the world that you'll be handing over to them. What role you are playing to make it worse, if you're making it worse, and how to make it clean so that they don't repeat what others are doing to make it unlivable planet. So all these things, like the concentration of wealth I was mentioning, it can be reversed. It's possible. It's a question of redesigning the system. If it goes this way, you have to design a system this way. That's how the microcredit did. It's a very simple idea. Microcredit is not a big thing. It's simply gave money to poor people, found how to make them able to pay me back. That was the idea. Once it worked in one village, the whole world is on that path. Because it works, it's sustainable, it's something helps them to take control of their life and so on. So the individual is the most important thing. So you have experience, you have knowledge. If you use your power to change the world will be changed. Just pay attention to that subject, that's all.
Professor Yunus, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your insights. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Please.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.